Hey all of you out there in Eorzea, welcome to She Heals, I Tank, your Final Fantasy XIV podcast. Today is Sunday, December 20th, and this is episode 244 of the Shit Podcast. I'm your host, Vegan Pete, and always by my side, the wonderful and lovely...
Hey guys, Avi Ale here. How you doing?
I am good, Avi. How about yourself?
I got coffee, so that's good.
Got coffee, we got a little mimosa.
So you may notice that this podcast was released a little late, and that's because we couldn't record on Friday night because our internet was so bad we couldn't stream, and we like to offer the stream and so we can put it on YouTube and share it in all the places. So Sunday morning podcast.
So yes, our...
But coffee first. Coffee, then mimosas.
Probably first Sunday morning podcast that I can remember anyways. Maybe in the very beginning when we were still doing pre-recorded, we might have done one on a Sunday.
Yeah.
But
it'll be interesting to see the different like energy levels and such.
This is like the first live on Sunday. You know, like the monster truck.
Yeah, no, I knew what you were doing.
But thank you everyone for joining us here live on this fine Sunday morning. First episode back since going to a bi-weekly schedule. It was definitely a little bit weird not having a show last week, but it was also kind of nice because I was able to do some stuff with the FC last Friday, and I'll be able to chip in more often and fill in when they need a body for something. So kind of
just a
excited
body,
about that.
not talent. Just
sometimes all you need is a body.
Just a body. That's usually what a tank is, right?
Sometimes you can't queue with 7 people. You need 8.
Isn't that what a tank is for? Like, we just need a body up there. Oh, there's Pete. Just let the thing whack at him. We'll be fine.
That's why they call him a meat shield. But we've had a little time to play patch 5.4. We're going to keep this episode MSQ spoiler free until the next episode. So,
also, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Pete, but while we're still intro-y, did you realize this is the last episode of 2020?
Are you serious?
Yeah, our next episode will be in 2021. I meant to tell you that before. But yeah, so we planned nothing special for like, woo, end of the year, but it is woo, end of the year.
Son of a bitch, she's right.
I am right.
That feels like
we need to clip that.
That feels like way too like. Wait a minute. Oh, you're right. Our next episode would be on the 1st.
Yep, New Year's Day.
That's basically 2020.
So it's fitting. Yes, KK says that the final episode of 2020 got fucked up. So like, thank you 2020 for. Yeah. It's been.
I'm sure 2021 is gonna be so much better.
At least we're like not gonna be surprised by it at this point. It's.
We're veterans.
Yeah, we're already jaded, so.
So yes, this episode will be spoiler free of the MSQ. However, we will be discussing Eden, Emerald Weapon, and the Starlight event. So if you haven't done those, you're gonna be spoiler free until the discussion part of the show. Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing those, but we'll get to the story as well. Also, when we get to those, if you would like to call in and discuss what you liked about them, what you didn't like, tell us what we got wrong, feel free to. Just join our Discord, hop in the On Deck channel, and we'll bring you into live on air to see what you have to say. And as always, at the top of the show, we like to acknowledge and shout out our amazing subs. Thank you this week to Moojack the Hurricane, Emis, all first-time subs, a couple of those courtesy of Batkid gift subs, Pro Tefori, and Coralie Strand, 2 months, Starfallen Games, 3 months, Phoenix 2020, 7 months, Kadoma IX, Kadoma 9, I guess, 8 months, Batkid 8 months, Ivory Mist 10, Satyr Eagle's Claw 10, and Hyper Pixie Gaming hitting that 2-year mark at 24 months. And thank you. We really appreciate the support. And don't forget, if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free sub to use each week. You don't have to use it on us, but make sure you use it and make some streamer very happy. With that said, let's kick it on over to everyone's favorite segment.
Greenleaf Minute.
It's the Greenleaf Minute, the last Greenleaf Minute of 2020. I wish I would have known that. And because I feel like this one's kind of kind of a one.
But I mean, it is in relation to the new schoolboy gear, glamour gear that has been very popular off the Mog Station. So,
So this week, I want to teach you how to put your FC crest on your gear. This was spurred on by Chili gifting me the Collegiate Outfit. And on that chest piece, you'll see a crest on the breast pocket. You can actually change that to your FC crest.
I do have to interrupt, though. Did you know that your FC crest will not display in duty content?
I did know that.
I was like, really? Oh, okay.
I knew that because Chili put his crest on, and then when we went into an instance, he said, hey, my crest is gone.
Oh, so sad.
My crest on my breast is gone.
I noticed it on your character, actually.
Yeah. So to do this, you'll have to go to the Grand Company area that your FC is registered to. Now, you're able to be a member of a Grand Company that is not the same as your FC, but for this, you have to go to the Grand Company that your FC is registered to. Then you'll want to find the OIC Officer of Arms, and this person isn't the one that's behind the bar like most of the other people there. They're just standing out in the room. Right-click on...
They're like shunned. Like...
Yeah.
You don't get to stand behind the desk. All you do is let people like put patches on. You get to stand in the corner.
They're not a high enough rank.
Nah.
But you click on them and select add or remove company crest from gear. Then it will bring you to a list of gear that you can add your company crest to. And it's a lot more than I even thought. Like I knew this was a thing,
yeah,
but I never bothered doing it. But there's actually a lot of items you can add it to. It will cost you a whopping 100 gil per item. So this is a new gil sync we didn't know about. You can you can
a very small one.
Spend 100 gil per item you want to add your crest to. And if you decide you don't like it, the look of it, you can also remove it from the same person.
Does it cost anything to remove it?
No, it doesn't cost anything to remove it, but if you want to put it back on, it's going to cost you another 100 gil.
You never know. Like, are they going to charge you for every removal and addition? Like, I don't know.
And if you have permission to do so, you're also able to change your FC crest from this person as well.
Right. Only certain members of the FC have that permission.
So if you have permission, if you just like kind of made a crest to begin with and you're not really that happy with it, you don't want to display it proudly on your gear, this is where you can go to change it to something you actually like. What do you think about that, Avi?
I think it's cool. I did also think it was interesting. So Chili shared that the Collegiate Outfit was actually so popular that similar to the United States Postal Service, it actually crashed the in-game mailing system.
Did it really?
Yes.
That's weird because I was looking at the online store earlier and it wasn't in the top 10.
I don't know. Maybe it hasn't been updated yet.
Yeah, I don't know how often they update that. But that's how you do it if you want. Now we'll get to Avi's favorite segment. Oh.
I was actually thinking, I was like, he didn't test the sound bits. Like,
yeah, for some reason, all our overlays were gone this morning. I don't know what the fuck happened, and apparently all my sound effects are gone now. So we just gotta go old school douchey style. It's the tweet of the week. Somehow even more douchier than the sound effect.
Yeah.
I like it.
I don't.
Maybe I should do that from now on.
No, it's better with like the horns and stuff. It's more
tweet of the week. No?
No.
Anyways, Avi's favorite segment of 2020, the tweet of the week. And this one comes from Voxina7, who says, "That she heals, I tank. Also, in regards to you two going bi-weekly, I know I'm late, but you still get my sub.
Aww.
I understand that there isn't always something to make a 2-hour show about, and you two talking about the game are actually my biggest motivators for getting back in. Just listening to the latest episode, and hey, Avi, I've seen Grease multiple times. I like it. I've performed the song Grease Lightning for one of my high school's homecoming performances once."
Right? Thank you, Voxna. Like, I appreciate that. My husband's just special.
Yeah, I don't know what Grease is. Now it's time for news and notes from around the realm and talking about the Collegiate Outfit. Avi, what else is there on the MOG station?
The most popular item that broke the in-game mailing system. So it's a good gift for someone if you want to. It's the new item is the Collegiate Attire, and it has two options. One that has slacks and the other has skirt. There's a few more differences than that as well. The slacks option has a necktie, and I believe the skirt has like a bow or a little like...
Yeah, it's a bow.
Okay.
I'm wearing it right now.
Oh, there you go. They are dyeable. They are not gender locked, but they're separate pieces. They're separate sets.
Yeah.
So you have to buy each of them if you want the slacks and the skirt. And they are not cheap because it's $18 each.
I hear that's because they originally were released on the Korean version.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they couldn't make it cheaper, or they couldn't make it one set. They had to do exactly the same as how it was released over there.
That's generally what they do with the items from the Korean servers, is they make sure it's identical to how it was there. That way it's fair.
I definitely think you should have got all pieces as one, though.
Would you? What if they just sold it all for $36?
No. I want them all for 18.
Yeah, no.
It's not that many pieces. Like, it's 3 pieces.
It's 4 pieces. The top's different.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's 3 for 1, so a lot of times you can buy a set for $18 and it's like 5 pieces.
I see what you're saying, but I don't think they put as much design.
Put it all together.
To like hand gloves as they do a chess piece. Anyways, they also added back the authentic Starlight Barding and the Saintly Barding for $7 each. The Starlight de Chocobo Orchestrion roll is $3. Authentic choir poster, Starlight Gubu wreath, and a set of 5 Starlight roll cakes are housing items for $5 each. Pete, isn't there a sale right now as well?
Yeah, there is a sale going on. My favorite item from the sale was the Starlight Bear mount.
Well, so like all of these items you just had me read the prices are actually cheaper.
No, those are newly added, and those ones aren't on sale.
The sale was like I just had to scroll down further. Got it.
These ones are from like further back. So there's a Starlight Bear mount. That was the one of note for me anyway.
Oh, I love that mount.
I like that mount. It's got the Santa hat on. It throws gifts at people.
Yep.
And that mount right now is only going to run you $8.40.
Oh, that is a good price.
So that's only for a single character. It's not account wide. But if you're really looking for a fun mount, I think that's about worth it. You know how I don't usually buy a lot of stuff on the Mog Station. But that one, if I missed out on it, I would be tempted to get it. And also on sale are the jump potions that will level a job to 70. Normally $25. They are now down to $17.50.
I was trying to add about the bear. I was like, I actually the bear for me in game is kind of like Christmas decorations for my house. Like as soon as it was December, I was like, I can use my Starlight Bear mount and throw presents at everyone. So I thought, I don't know, that it's a really cute mount. I bet for some reason I feel like it's special and I need to save it for the holiday season. So
I only get it when I do the random roulette. I've just done that now. Random flying.
I have a random favorites because there's certain mounts. Like I don't want that spinning tortoise to show up, and just certain ones I just don't want to see that I own. And you can like the only way to not have those ones show up is to have the roulette be of your favorites.
You would delete it if you could.
Honestly, yeah. From flying.
You're like, I don't even want a chance of that.
I liked it when it was like just running on the ground, but the spinning of it, I like it gives me a headache. I can't do it. So.
Well, speaking of Starlight, the newest Starlight Celebration 2020.
How is that speaking of Starlight?
We were talking about Starlight Bear, baby.
We were talking about turtles just now.
Starlight Bear, man. Keep up.
Okay.
The newest Starlight Celebration is going on right now. You can pick up a pretty sweet snowman mount, snow-dusted tree outdoor furnishing, unmelting ice loft, and unmelting ice partition. The cool thing about the loft that Avi found out is if you put it on the ground, you can do the /throw emote and throw a snowball. So you can cover your whole FC house, put all of your FC members in there, and have one massive snowball fight.
I think that would make for some amazing screenshots. I also thought it was cool because if you do want it to have like a G-pose sort of setup where your character's throwing a snowball with Christmas trees behind you, that might be like a little tricky to find the right setting in game, so you can create it in a house or an apartment and then be able to play around with that. So that was pretty fun.
And you can start this quest by talking to Aim Garanji at the amphitheater in Old Gridania and grab the quest A Festive Fiasco. You need to be at least a level 15 to do the event. You only have until December 31st at 6:59 a.m. to complete this, so don't let it slip your mind. That's not a long time.
So what did you think of the event, Pete?
Yeah, I was thinking we should probably go to that discussion right now.
I didn't know you wrote it up. I literally thought we were going to talk about it.
I think since you told me what it was, I was kind of disinterested in it.
Well, because I know that if I don't tell you, like, so I enjoyed it. A lot of people in our FC chat. So before we go to Pete, just saying I knew what was coming, so I didn't like it. I did it, and I actually really liked that it felt very current with the environment we're all living in, loved ones getting ill, not being able to celebrate the way we want to celebrate. I really liked that was a thread of the story. And a lot of people actually in Discord had said that they just skipped through the story because they were not in a festive mood, and they didn't want to have Christmas shoved down their throats. And I kind of felt like I wish you had done it because it wasn't Christmas shoved down your throat so much. It was like people having trouble celebrating for different reasons. And I liked that they took that approach. I really appreciated that they took that approach. And the reason I told Pete is because he's Mr. Skip Through It, don't care. So I wanted him to actually read. And so I guess it backfired. I can't win with this guy.
Yes. Well, it wasn't just because you told me what was happening. That actually made me kind of interested in it.
You also don't really care about Christmas.
But the fact that it took so long to actually get to some of that story, like the first 3 times we went and did stuff, it was like, I know we didn't celebrate Halloween, but can you go pick up these Halloween decorations that were left out? And you're like,
no, it wasn't that. It was like there was a new guy. Spoilers, I guess, for the Starlight event. He was putting out decorations, and he didn't really care what he was doing, and so he didn't care if they were Starlight or whatever. So he's putting out whatever holiday. And I actually didn't like that he was putting out Halloween decorations at Christmas time, and that's wrong. I actually disagreed with that. I felt like if you want to put out Halloween decorations during Christmas, I think you should be able to do that. And I think that's totally fine.
I was like, these fucking Easter eggs aren't like that off. They look fine.
And just put a Santa hat on. I think it would have been funnier if we had just put a Santa hat on the jack-o'-lantern or something, and you find a way for it to be like more inclusive of what everybody wants to have. I don't know. I didn't really like the beginning of it. And you kept getting these random 99 stacks of like numbers. And it was long, and I did not. So now you've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 99 stacks of each.
I already turned them in.
Yeah, and they take a really long time. Chili actually tried to do a countdown from 5, and it took him 25 seconds to get each one off because of the delay between releasing each item. And so it was like, you can't even do like a 5-second. You need 5 people to do a 5-second countdown.
I either sold them to a vendor or I went to the Domain Enclave and turned them in. I don't have mine anymore. I'm like, these are not worth 5 inventory spaces.
Yeah. Oh, and KK says you can't macro them either. And you can buy more of them for Gil. So it's, Also, and Chili is dropping codes in chat because he's freaking amazing.
One benefit of joining us live sometimes, people are generous and will just drop codes in chat like Chili just did.
By people, we mean mostly Chili.
Dropping the Starlight Bear Mount and the authentic Starlight Barding. Looks like a Disco Cub got one. Congrats. So yeah, it took like 3 little quests before you even got to the story of the girls.
Yeah, the girl.
The girl's parents being sick. And
you don't need to go into the details of that because people still can do it.
Hey, I told them we were talking about the seasonal event.
I know, but I'm just saying you don't have to fully spoil it.
Turns out they had COVID and they died.
I do really think it's worth doing the annoying bits where you're like cleaning up the numbers because you have to get through that to get the adorable snowman mount, which I do think they kind of took a note from the tank and like, ooh, we can actually put our characters in the mounts, and so they've kind of applied that technique to the snowman. So
I'm all for them doing that.
When you are running with the snowman, your character is popping out and holding up the head. If you do change it so you're only walking, the head actually stays down. So if you move slowly, you can walk around as a snowman. And what I really like...
So you can stalk people as a snowman, just walking slowly behind them.
I love it. And what I really love, actually, is you can sit outside of a house, an FC house, your personal house, whatever, and go AFK and be, like, yard decorations. and there's, like... It's just really cute. It's a well-done mount. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, even if you just skip through everything, it's definitely worth getting just for that mount. I think it's a really, really good mount. One of my top mounts.
It's really great. And actually the items you can purchase that we mentioned, the trees, the ice, where you've got them written down up here. Where were they? The unmelting ice loft, the unmelting ice partition, and the snow-dusted trees are actually all wonderful. I did not think I was going to like them. The one thing that's really cool about the unmelting or the ice partitions is that one side is bricks, the other side is just looks like a solid piece of ice. And actually, I noticed when I was logging into game, what it looks like is the ground under your character upon login. So there's that blue, icy kind of ground. That is what the walls of the ice partition looks like. And then the unmelting ice lofts, on the top are white snow, but underneath it's like icicles hanging down. So I think it'd be really cool for somebody to take their house and create an entire like ice maze where you could have the partition, the lofts kind of like making it get lower and stuff. I don't know. I think it's really cool.
Well, Marcus Kyler posted something like that in our Discord, so we need to go visit his house and see exactly what he did with it.
Yeah, I don't know what he did. And then on top of that, the snow-dusted outdoor trees are gorgeous. They're not Christmas trees. They're just beautiful pine trees with snow on them. Like, it's really, really, really nice. So I wasn't excited about the purchasable items, but I actually bought quite a few of each. I think the cheapest one's like 3,000 gil. The most expensive one was probably like 5,000 gil each.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
So yeah, not too bad.
One of the things I really think is a good change, and I think this is the first time, I'm not 100% sure. I remember in the previous Starlight events, we'd have to keep on doing like that choir thing over and over to get the whatever currency they were using.
To buy
and that's how you bought the extra rewards. But this time it's just pay more gil, so you don't have to keep redoing and redoing something.
I appreciated that, especially because they made us redo it 6 times for those stupid numbers. So, yeah, that was the bit. You know, it's never perfect, but I did appreciate it more than I thought I would. Like, I actually I didn't cry, but I got a little emotional. Like, oh, I guess she just wants to take care of her parents.
Did you get more emotional during that or the latest Mandalorian episode?
I don't know.
Avi, I don't have the sound effects because for some reason my computer is a piece of shit.
The thing that all of you hear when you finish a duty. Teaching Pete lore so he'll learn some shit. I do, at least.
Awesome.
I hear it every time now. All right, Pete. Whenever I say that, it sounds like R.I.P.
I know, that's what I think you're saying. I'm like, I guess I'm dead.
All right, Pete. I made up a new question.
You made it up?
Yeah.
You didn't get any help from anyone?
Nope.
Then I might get it right.
Yep. I think you will, but I just was kind of...
I have one for you too.
Uh-oh. What villain appears in game nearly every time accompanied by the song Without Shadow?
Which villain? What?
Appears. So basically, whenever you see this type of villain, you always hear, they play the same song, Without Shadow. Is it A, Sin Eaters, B, Asians, C, Alligans, D, Warriors of Darkness?
Yeah, I was gonna go with La Habrea, which is an Asian. I'm just gonna go with that. My original gut feeling, Asians, because it's always the fucking Asians.
And honestly, it's correct. And my entire intent of this question was to make it always Asians, because that's exactly how I felt about the MSQ.
Did you think I was going to outthink myself and be like, she wouldn't give me one that easy?
No, I thought you'd get it right. But I literally, because when I thought of this question, I was just like, and that's kind of a spoiler, but if that's a spoiler for you guys for MSQ, I haven't even finished the MSQ. It's always Asians or Primals, so it's not really a spoiler. I just was really hoping it wasn't going to be Asians this time.
All right. My question for you is also a little bit of a spoiler, but not like story-wise, just kind of lore-wise. Do you remember the name of the 2 guns that Merlweb had?
No, but I remember that the captain was like, I recognize that pistol at your hip.
All right. I won't spoil it then. I was just curious if you remembered.
No. You know I'm bad at names of things, so no.
Because it's stuff like that I remember. I'm like, oh, that's a really neat... Because I really like Merlweb. Merlweb's my favorite of like the original 3 city-state leaders. And
KK says one is from Final Fantasy VII, a game I've never played.
Sunshine and Happiness.
That's what I would name mine.
If I had to think of like A, B, and C, and D, Sunshine and Happiness would definitely be one of them.
You always get multiple choice and you bitch if you don't. And then you ask me a question without giving me multiple choice.
Because this isn't a segment for you.
No, but still.
I get to do whatever I want.
No. Well, then I can do whatever I want with the segment too. You just whiny face, so I've had to make it multiple choice. Me.
If you think of one, you can do that. The listeners think of one. They're more diabolical than you.
I'm not a lore junkie. That's why neither of us are lore junkies. Like the people who are like super into lore are the ones who create the questions for you, and they're like, "Come on, Pete, get super into lore."
I'm like, well, if you want to ask me the names of weapons that like people I actually care about have, that'd be something. But if you're like some random ass person, what was this called? Nah, I don't know.
I'm like, kill people, make me feel things. My character is pretty. Ooh, shiny. Oh, and I dance. That's the game for me in a nutshell.
So it's been 2 weeks, and something I did before the patch was give away all my gil.
Yes.
And I kind of mentioned this on a few streams before it actually happened. Some of you are probably like, he's not really going to give away all his gil. Well, it happened. I gave away all my gil prior to patch 5.4.
You actually have a YouTube video, which I wish I'd realized you were doing this and I would have linked it, but I don't want to type on my loud keyboard. It was pretty funny.
I think the VOD is gone, or it's expiring today if it's not. But I do have a YouTube video. Just go to Shields, I think, on YouTube.
The VOD is 2 separate VODs because it took so long to give away all his gil, so just go to YouTube.
Probably the most surprising part of it all was it took so damn long to give away your gil. One, because people are dubious of people just giving them money. They think it's some sort of scam.
Yeah.
Which I guess I can understand. And then another one is a lot, like I was trying to give it away mostly to Greenleafs. So another thing is that Greenleafs that are on the free trial aren't allowed to trade.
Right.
So I couldn't give them gil at all.
It was funny watching Pete chase down people who were like running away. It felt it reminded me a lot of when we were playing Among Us, and he was trying to be like, but I'm your friend. I'm like, he's sus. Why is he chasing me?
Metallic green Santa is sus.
Yes. But, all in good times.
But it was a lot of good fun and gave a lot of gil to FC members, to Greenleafs, to people's friends that heard about it when it was happening.
You did the spinny wheel.
Wheel, and like I gave one to a Greenleaf in Gridania, and then I get like a tell 5 minutes later. He's like, my friend is really poor too. Can you give him some gil too? I'm like, yeah, where are you? Still in Gridania? And came back cute. And gave us like I forgot how much I gave him, so I'm like, how much did I give you? Because I didn't want to like shortchange his friend.
Right.
So it was a lot of fun. And then like,
well, and he did dress his character. He wasn't going to dress up his character. I made him put on like the Santa hat and like have the green beard. And then while you started doing it, I finished the quest so I could get the emote where you throw the gold. I forgot what it's called. My brain just stopped.
Shit, I had it too.
Yeah, and so we were like, he had an emote when I was following around and throwing gil. We were trying to make it like not as creepy as a random guy chasing you around as we could.
And I had like a macro that said happy holidays, but people still ran away. But yeah, a lot of you listening got some gil. FC got some gil, or FC members got some gil. The FC bank only got my last like 3,000 that I had to get rid of. Probably should have given more to the FC, but I think we have tons in there and we never use anything for
we
it.
were saving for the Ishgardian housing.
Oh.
That's what that gil is for.
So yeah, my reasoning for this was a couple things. I don't really feel like I had a reason to log in to make gil anymore, because even though I wasn't like a gillionaire or billionaire like some high level crafters are, just because that was never a goal for me, like I didn't care.
Yeah.
So it's not like I had 999.99 million.
You had like 88 million.
I had 87 million.
87 million. So you did start off. I think you gave me 20 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wifey got
and that's with me really not trying to make gil for the last year.
Yeah.
And I've bought.
He's also very frugal. Like he doesn't buy expensive glamour things. If he can,
I can make it.
Yeah. If he can make things, he will. So you're very like kind of like you are IRL, as you're very conscious of how you spend.
So that's with me, like buying a house on Adamantoys,
and then not decorating it,
having to leave it. Because the destruction was turned off, so I lost 60 million there. I was able to get a large on Gilgamesh, so I spent another 60 million on that. Like, I've spent money.
That's true.
But it's just, I really not quite sure.
So how do you feel
I'm
about...
not sure how people don't make money in this game. It has to be that they just spend so much on glamour.
So how do you feel now that you've given away your gil?
I feel good.
Do you feel like you have a purpose in game?
You know what the best thing about giving away all my gil was? In addition to that, I got rid of all my inventory.
Yeah.
Like anything that was...
So yeah, it wasn't just his gil. It was anything he had he could sell.
Anything that was sellable, I got rid of. Like the last bits I sent to you, I sent to Chile. I'm like, this stuff sells for a decent amount. It just doesn't sell often, and I want to get rid of it.
Yeah. His market boards were empty,
so
and his inventory.
It was so nice having like all
like purging
this,
your email.
all this inventory space. I have 4 retainers. I got down to only like 75 items on one of them.
Nice.
And then had 3 open and most of the other one open. And the stuff they had left was just like relic weapons that I have and stuff like that that isn't sellable. So that was actually like the best part of it. But how I felt was as soon as I logged in patch day, I was working, so I could only like do stuff on my breaks anyway, so I couldn't really do much. But I tried teleporting to go get a node and got hit with you have insufficient gil. So the first thing I had to do was run a trials roulette just so I could get some gil to teleport.
Okay.
And I think I got like 14,000 or like close to 14,000 gil for doing that.
Okay.
And in addition to that, I went to the squadrons and I sent them out on a mission to get the priority Aetheryte pass to
lower your cost.
To lower the cost of teleports.
Yeah.
And then after that, really, I didn't think of gil again. Like I started making it back so quickly just by having my gatherer level. Because I would go to the newest nodes, I would gather, I would do the bounty to up the amount you got, and I forget what the ability's called, but I would use the ability to up the percentage of HQ as well. So any HQ...
So you did a little bit of research to figure out what the new gathered items were and made a point to go after those because people would buy them.
Yes, so that's how you make a lot of money at the beginning of a patch. You craft the new crafted items.
Or you gather the new items for those who are going to craft them, who don't want to go out and get them.
You make the most by crafting the items because those are really expensive, but they drop really quick. So you have to do it at the beginning of the patch.
Got it.
Unfortunately, since I sold everything, I didn't have any crafting food.
Right.
So I had to take time to make more crafting food, more crafting syrup. So I couldn't really get in at the very beginning for that type of stuff.
Okay.
So I said my best bet's going to be just to go around gathering. And I know that I had my melds pretty good, that I wasn't going to need many HQ items to craft the latest stuff. So any HQ items that I gathered, I would sell those, and I would just keep the no quality ones for stuff I want to make later.
Makes sense.
And I would sell them immediately after I gathered them from a node. Like I do one rotation, sell everything I got from the new nodes that were HQ, and then do it again. Because you don't know where that market's going to go that first day. Inevitably, everything is going to drop in a couple weeks. But at the very beginning, like 1 hour, it might be selling for 9K a piece. And then maybe that node had the HQ bonus on it, and then it's going to drop for even that hour.
Oh.
So it will drop down to like 5,000. So it's really interesting seeing that. But that's what I would do. Like sell them, even a stack of 6. I only got 6, I'd sell 6. But 6 times 8, 48,000. So it's a pretty good gil. And in the first day, like I said, I was working, so I couldn't even like dedicate much time to this. I only did it on my breaks. I made over 1 million gil that first day. So after that, I didn't really have to think about teleportation fees or anything like that.
So how much active time that first day do you think you actually put in?
Maybe like an hour during the workday. And then after the workday, probably like 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours.
Okay.
So overall, did over 1 million gil that first day.
But again, that's like when the markets are like prime.
Yeah, that's a good time. If I would have been able to do it like all during the workday, I'm sure I would have made much more.
Of course.
Well,
you would have been doing it for way longer. So.
Yeah, and then I couldn't make the new items yet because I had to remake my crafting food.
Right, you said all that.
Because I went to the market board to see how much chili crab cost, and there was only like stacks of 99 up there. I'm like, well, I only have 1 million gil. I could buy a stack of 99, but that'd put me way down again.
I actually hate it when there's things like that and people only do the stacks of 99. I actually find if you've got the room on your retainers to sell more expensive things like that in stacks of 25, you'll actually sell them faster than the people who are selling the 99 stacks, but it takes up more slots from your retainers to sell. And you don't get as much in one big chunk.
That's actually what I ended up doing. So I went fishing for blue crab, which you need to make the chili crab, not chili crap, like Chili thought he heard. So I made myself the crafting food, but I'm like, hey, there's only stacks of 99 up here. So I started selling stacks of 3 chili crab on there. And that's another way I made a bunch of money. I started making the craft syrup. So I started selling stacks of 2 of those. Because I don't know, they were just selling really well.
Even if your character, so say your retainer brings you back a stack of 2 of like the bright white dyes, if you split them into singles, they'll sometimes sell faster than the stack of 2. Because people don't need 2 necessarily. They usually need 1.
Yeah.
And if they can buy 1, they will. So.
And a lot of times if they have a stack of 99 for 10,000 a piece, you can sell a stack of 2 for 15,000.
Yeah, you can charge a little bit more at a premium because you're selling less, which is kind of like bulk items in the real marketplace. So I don't know, it's cool. Anyways, I think we can move on from this topic. I feel like this is a bit
so eventually
deep
like
the
first like 4 days, I ended up making a little over 4 million or 3 million gil, and I haven't really tried since then.
You're like, I'm good.
Like I made myself some armor. I haven't sold any armor, and that's kind of how I've been for a while. I only craft for friends and myself.
So about the amount of gil you've made yourself is what I spent on my small florist house walls, exterior walls. That's what I treated for myself with the 20 million gil you got me, because I'm not gonna like blow it all at once. I had no reason to.
That's where we're broadcasting from right now.
Yeah, I really like plants and flowers and like IRL. So when they added a housing exterior that had lots of plants, that's what I decided to get myself, because I don't like those exterior walls. Are a bitch to make because you have to do as your FC together. It's a whole group effort. And so the prices on them drop, but not necessarily a ton. So I felt like that was kind of something that made sense for me to splurge on rather than just like the new glamour item that's going to eventually be cheaper. Can hear the bubbles from that on the microphone. Told you it's the bubbliest champagne ever. So yeah, but it was fun. So we still have quite a bit of notes to get through, Pete, with the story. So we're going.
Go ahead and start with Eden.
Well, we're staying MSQ spoiler free, right?
Yeah.
So we're just gonna hopefully I didn't overdo the bubbles. I did not.
So like the 2 pieces of battle content that we did during this week.
Wait, but Chili just asked, thought you could do FC crafts on your own now? Can you? I didn't know.
Well, you can. I think you can like progress it on your own now. You don't need 4 people, but you can't do it.
It's a ton of work. That's what all I meant, Chili. Like, it's like the FC house. Like, I wouldn't want to try to make that by myself. I don't really like crafting enough to try to do that. That's more what I meant. It's a lot. It's a whole lot.
What she's trying to say is she's lazy.
Yes. So, like, it wasn't about getting 3 other people to stand in the room with me while I progressed it. That part's easy. It's about all of the pieces you have to gather for all of the steps to make it. It's a long, like, you need a spreadsheet to get this shit done process. And I'm sorry, I do that enough for work. I don't want to do that for play.
So let's talk about Eden first. That's something that we definitely had to do because we want to do Savage.
We are going to do spoilers for the Eden story.
Yes.
So heads up, if you have not done the Eden story, you should do the Eden story because you get those weekly drops of the gear, which is why we thought we'd talk about this.
I think most people probably do that week 1 because they want the new gear.
If you haven't, it's a really good, you should do this before MSQ, honestly. It's more beneficial for you. Like, do MSQ to the dungeon and do Eden. That should be like your priority for gearing up and stuff.
So we got the final 4 floors of the Eden's raid. This one was Eden's Promise. And as Avi alluded to earlier, Ascians.
Motherfucking Ascians. I was so bummed.
Yeah.
I was really interested in Gaia's whole story, which we're going to go through, but it's motherfucking Ascians.
I was the same way, and my reaction is on stream for this. I was like, oh, really? You infiltrated my raid with Ascians instead of just keeping them in the MSQ.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sick of it being Asians. So yeah, I don't. So Pete, you wrote some story kind of up here, but I broke it down by.
You wrote it down where I was just talking about the fights.
Because I felt like it made more sense to go through the fights and then the story as they kind of progress together.
Okay, so let's talk about the first one, E9 Umbra. And this was the Cloud of Darkness fight. And actually, I want to talk about the fight really quick. Because...
Well, wait. So the reason it's the Cloud of Darkness, before you talk about the fight, this was Reen and Gaia working together to try to balance the darkness. Like, we felt there was still too much light, so they were having Gaia bring through darkness. And then we were, of course, trying to think of the darkest thing, which, of course, is the Cloud of Darkness. And the fight looks like the minion did.
The boss looks like the minion did.
Yeah, that's the vice. Yeah.
So what'd you think about this one your first time through? That's what I was wanting to bring up. You got clipped by, I think, probably the very first move.
Yeah.
And ended up dying. And it took a long time for you to get a raise.
And then I got raised at the exact same part of the fight.
Exact wrong time. And you must have hit it because you died.
It was like I couldn't get the rhythm of it because I kept getting rezzed at like really shitty times. And so I was just like, this fight makes no fucking sense to me. I can't figure out where I am. I can't figure out where I'm supposed to be. This is like just driving me nuts.
You went a little bit on tilt.
Yeah.
You got in your head a little bit.
And so I ended up actually before I got my drop on that run. So then the next week before I went, and I was like, you know what? I was so just mad that I'm going to watch a guide. I've never watched a guide on a normal mode like raid, but I just want to go in there and not feel like that I'm going to have that exact same experience because it was not fun. And I watched the guide, and then I went in and I was like, oh, this fight's so fucking easy now. Like, oh my God, what was my problem? I don't even know. So now I think it's the easiest fight by far.
Like when you were still on tilt and be like, fuck that fight, I hate that fight. I was like, just in my head, I'm like, I thought it was really easy, but I didn't want to say that.
No, because you would have gotten like devil eyes if you'd have said that. I just had a really bad experience with it. Yeah.
Like taking acid for the first time. And then you had a bad trip, and then like the next time and the next time.
I have no idea.
And the next and next time. It's a lot of fun.
No. So it is a fun fight. But that is a good tip, I guess. If you do go into a fight and you don't have fun with it and you're confused, go ahead and just watch a guide for your own peace of mind, because you might actually understand it better than you thought you did, and it can kind of just concrete that for you. So just a little, it's not cheating.
Yeah, so we did summon the darkness, the Cloud of Darkness, to balance against the light. And so do you want to talk about the fight or some more story?
What do you want to talk about with the fight?
The fight, I'd say the big mechanics are that chain you have to break. Like you get the light animation that you know you're going to be tethered to something, and then it turns into like a vine.
Oh, really? You think that was not the animation or the issue?
You died to it.
Well, the reason that part wasn't so when the first time I did it and I died and was rezzed at the wrong time, the fact that there was a chain to break wasn't my issue. The fact was like there were these purple circles that were on the ground with the thorns that if you walk into them, it somehow shot me in a weird direction, which I don't know if that was just bad luck. And then I didn't notice that like she was throwing her little yellow things and pulled her that way. Like I was just so upset with everything that like I wasn't seeing all of the other things that were going on. And that's why I died to that mechanic. But I think the point of this, the hard, air quotes, hardest part of this fight is you actually have to really pay attention to what she does. Because and I know that's every fight, but like her actual animations, more than a lot of fights you see, like very obviously tell you what's going to be happening next.
You have to look at what side she's going to swipe.
What color the things are she's throwing. Like, oh, it's yellow. That means I'm going to follow her. Oh, it's purple. That means I'm going to do the opposite of what she's doing. Like, once you kind of get those basic pieces, like, I don't know, understood, it's not hard.
So the mechanic I wanted to talk about with the tether, which I think a lot of people don't know. Usually they just see a tether and then they run because they think they have to break it. In this one, if you stand near to where you're tethered to, once it turns into the vine, then you run.
Oh, see, actually, I didn't know that.
Because it's like about the distance after you run once it turns into a vine. So if you run like 3/4 of the way across the arena, you won't be able to break that tether. So stay close to it until it turns into the vine and then run.
I don't think I even remembered that from the race. I was like, oh, tethers break them. But I don't ever run right when I see it.
Yeah.
I got to finish
So
what
I
I'm doing.
actually back up until so I'm closer to it, especially when I'm tanking it. I go as close as I can. That way, when I run, I don't have to run way past the boss. It's not turning or anything like that.
I think that's more of a mindset for like somebody who plays a job with positionals or a tank, like melee, close range. Because as a dancer, it didn't matter for me because I was like, I'm just going to keep running.
But I remember that was kind of a mechanic in one of the Savages we did a while back when you got tethered to another person. You wanted to be close together and then run out, or else you wouldn't have enough room to break that tether. And this is basically the same thing.
Cool.
But other than that, I think the mechanics are pretty self-explanatory. Once you do it your second time, you'll probably get all of them.
But it also felt fresh. It felt they didn't feel like repeated mechanics, which I liked. I did like that about it, which is also why when I was in my head and like what the fuck is going on, there really wasn't mechanics I'd seen a lot of before to cling to.
Yeah. And in the like how you phase change through everything, when you go to that one where the panels light up and if you stay on it long enough it drops.
Yeah.
That only gets annoying when like everyone's standing on their own separate panel. I like to try to stand on the same panel as someone else.
What I was wondering is if you have multiple people on the same panel, does that happen faster?
I don't know if it happens faster, but at the same time, it's
I
just
felt like it happened faster.
But just go to the next one and switch back and forth between those two.
Yeah, that's the best tip you can give for that. Is like literally if you can have two next to each other. I would get annoyed when someone would take my second one. But you can literally step off the one you were on onto the one they're on and back onto the one you want to be on because it resets as soon as you step off of it.
I like to wait until it turns purple, then I move to the other one, and then it resets and you go back to it.
Once you start to get used to the timing, you can actually step off like as it's turning purple, which is kind of nice.
And I was getting annoyed because I never saw what would happen if someone stood on it too long. And then like as soon as I bitched about that on when I was streaming it live, someone did it, and I was like, yes, they fall through.
So they fall through? Does the square itself disappear?
It disappears, but it comes back quickly.
That's what I meant. Like, would it affect the rest
I
of the party?
imagine in Savage, it probably stays gone.
Stays gone, yeah. You're going to hurt yourself if you do that.
That's one of the things I was trying to do when I was going through the first time. It's like, okay, how are they going to do this in Savage?
I just try to, like, get a good understanding of the regular mechanics, like my building blocks. So anyways, we obviously beat the Cloud of Darkness, and when we get out, the crystal turns to rainbow.
It's got a lot of pride.
Yes, it's very, very beautiful rainbow, happy. So then after that, we kind of like we're kind of brushing over this story leading to E10, Litany the Shadowkeeper, is when Gaia suddenly realizes that the fairy in her head has been hiding in Eden the entire time, which I don't know how she would just figure that out, like, but you know, it's cool. And then we figure out everyone's favorite bitching point, at least ours, that it was motherfucking Asians.
Terrell says rainbow crystal housing item when.
Right?
That'd be cool. Rainbow crystal and maybe like a pond or something like that. That'd be cool.
We have ponds.
I know, but like the crystal in the pond, like lighting up the pond. I think
then you just put the crystal in the pond.
Don't use logic with me.
Sorry, how dare I? So it ends up that we freed this Asian, Mitron, from Eden, like which Eden was essentially him, and which was also the original Sin Eater. And so he became the first Sin Eater.
That's what like caused the wave of light that Minfilia partially blocked.
Is it wave or flood? No, it's flood of light.
Flood
of light. So I mean, it makes sense because Sin Eaters, it's about like their soul, and an Asian soul is more whole, so it would be a bigger Sin Eater ultimately, I guess. I can kind of see
when that Asian popped out, I'm like, I kind of don't give a shit anymore.
Like, but I also was like, I get how it makes sense for it to be an Asian, for an Asian to like have more light in them that they'd absorb because they, you know, are a whole soul instead of these like pieces of a soul. It doesn't mean I liked it. I didn't. Yeah, like I was like, okay, I get it. I don't like it, but yeah. So, going back to this, try and find where I was in the story. Blah, 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 blah. So he and Gaia were originally protecting Gaia in her previous form. We don't really know much about that yet, but we're protecting the first from being consumed with darkness, like what had happened on the 13th, which was why the light had grown so strong. And then they decided to work with Emmett and like really push the light for the rejoining. And then that's when they were thwarted by Ardbert and the rest of the team. And then he was abandoned by Emmett. And so that is why like he was stuck and his only hope was Gaia. And so he was reaching out to her. And then us basically aligning Eden with more darkness is what weakened his cage and allowed him to put more and more control over Gaia. It's kind of like the big story part was right here.
Yeah, it was really long, and I was like, oh my god, I just want to get to the next fight.
Yeah. Esper just said, who would have thought he was right all along? It's always Asians. Yeah. So
when the game finally dies, it'll just be an Asian finally winning.
Oh god. So he lures us to go back to the core so that we can find out more of what he's kind of alluding to. And that's when he summons a battle to recreate the fight from 100 years ago where the Warrior of Light, Ardbert, fought the Shadowkeeper, which means Silva, but then they kind of like skip over the story here to where the Asians join the fight together. Where
probably for people like me who didn't do that side story quest.
I don't know, but I found this really frustrating because so when you start the MSQ, this isn't really a spoiler because it's like it happens in the first 2 minutes, but Lise shows up and they're
she
like
was in the trailer.
And they literally go, Lise, oh, you're from Alamigo and you've been doing a lot of political stuff, haven't you? Yes, that's me. Like, it was like the dumbest introduction for a character we all know who that is. And then this huge story where they go, Shadowkeeper, which is Silva, but then it's the Asians in the fight. And then they skip, if they literally just had a sentence that like, but after the Warrior of Light decided not to kill Silva, that was when he turned on the Asians and we joined to, like, I don't know, there was just something, there was this weird, for me at least, disconnect in how it's Shadowkeeper, which is Silva, but then the fight is actually the Asians as the dog, which is them combining their, I don't know, I didn't like it.
You mean you don't like when the story like recaps everything that just happened?
No, I don't. I don't like when they do that for things that don't need it because it makes it feel like they think their audience is dumb. But then in moments like this where it needed it, it was like made me go, wait, how is this dog the Shadowkeeper? Because Silva was the Shadowkeeper, so that doesn't make sense. So why is I don't understand. So I actually had to like look it up and try to put all the pieces together because I didn't remember all the bits, and that part that annoyed me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is a great story. And I think they just kind of threw Asians into it to make it work. What
this is backstory for the first. That's what all this is backstory really for like what happened on the first and Gaia and their backstory and everything that happened here. But it was like very glossed over kind of quick backstory. I don't know. It actually did irk me.
I can get down with backstory, but I just didn't care about this backstory. What happens next?
You're gonna have me do everything?
You cared more about the story than I did. I just want to talk about the fight.
So basically the whole point of this is that it kind of starts to jog Gaia's memory, and then that's when they realize like she was part of this fight, she was there, and Gaia was actually reborn once they were defeated, and Mitron was, I guess I'm kind of going through like this is after the fight. Mitron was then trapped, and so he's been in prison essentially, stuck in his flesh while she's been like her soul got to be born as Gaia instead. And then that's when we figure out, oh my god, Gaia was actually an Asian too.
Yeah.
Like they confirm it basically after they basically told us without actually putting the damn thing on her face.
Yeah, I definitely went, so Gaia's probably an Asian.
No, I didn't even go probably. When he showed up, I was like, oh, Gaia's an Asian. Got it. Like, so here's their way of like, yes, in case you didn't get it yet. Now you know.
And then they combine to form the Shadowkeeper, right?
No, Shadowkeeper was Silva. This is why it annoys me because it's.
I don't fuck. Then why was it called Asian Prime then? This is fucking the Asians combining.
I know it's Transformers. I think that's hilarious. It's the Shadowkeeper isn't the dog. It's literally the fight. That's the Shadowkeeper fight between the Warriors of Light and the Shadowkeeper. And then the Warriors of Light decide not to kill the Shadowkeeper, and then the Asians go, no, you shouldn't have done that. Now we're going to combine our forces and we're going to kill you. And then that's the fight. And that little tiny piece is what is missing from this whole story, because you didn't get that, and that's what bothers me.
Yeah.
A little tiny piece.
I don't remember, but I always assume it's just my own fault.
No, this time it was like, unless you are like a super into remembering all the little tiny elements of the lore, like it didn't flow nicely. That this, at least this section, had a piece missing.
But like this Ascian Prime thing, like that wasn't even like a big thing to me. It's like I've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
Like La Habrea, and I just called him Igor because I didn't know how to say his whole name. But him, La Habrea and Igor formed Ascian
way back
Prime.
in the day. Yep.
So yeah, I was like, okay, I know they can do that. I don't care.
So what did you think?
I do think the combined glyph is kind of cool, but that's about it.
What did you think of the fight?
This fight was probably the one for me that I didn't get right away. I wasn't sure how, when that shadow pops up, which direction the AoE was going out in my first time. Took me about 3 runs to really get it to sink in and click for me.
It was the like, so when they do that little shadow and then the ghost tail kind of appears with, like, then that tells you the order of which direction he's going to do. I didn't see the little ghost tail. I don't know if that makes, I don't know, that's not what people are actually calling it probably, but to me it's like a kind of a ghosty version of the tail that he's going to swipe next. And I think I saw that on my second run. I was like, oh, that's how you can tell which way to not be. So, Shalant, if you still don't get it, watch a guide. No shame. No shame.
But other than that, like, really, what was there in that fight? There was a tank buster. Some people I've gone in with have wanted to swap after that tank buster. I'm like, no, it doesn't hit that hard. Just fucking cool down through it afterwards, because it does give you a debuff. But if you get a tank that's really insistent on it, tank swap. Who cares? It's just weird. Every once in a while, they do throw a tank swap in there, but this one isn't 100% necessary. But yeah, everything else is pretty self-explanatory.
Oh, I do like the 3 dogs go out, and then
one
it's
is
like
tethered.
The moving of the cups, and you have to follow the cup to find the one that's the cup underneath. Like, I kind of enjoy that idea. And you know, if you missed it, just stand where everybody else is standing and follow them and pop sprint, or your gap closing.
Yeah, and if you can see 2 and you don't see a tether, then you know the other one is tether.
yeah. So because sometimes it is hard, because the one that does have the tether is like perfectly hidden behind the dog, and you in the middle, and you can't see it. So. And
this fight can't, like, if enough people don't know the mechanic to avoid the AoE on that shadow. You can have wipes on this one. I've experienced wipes.
Oh yeah,
because
that's like 90% of the arena. Just whack.
I've even had it where we were almost done with it, and then just people standing badly on one of the last ones.
Oh, that
just
sucks.
Wiped everyone.
Oh, you're like, no.
I'm like, oh, there went all the healers.
Do the fights feel really long to you? I feel really long to me.
They only feel really long, and I've noticed this. If I'm parsing, I'm like, oh, we just don't have good DPS.
Okay, so if you don't have good DPS, they like. It's because it just repeats over and over and over again if you don't have very good DPS. And so they can feel really long sometimes. And I was like, please don't let this group wipe again.
I will say in E9, we had a wipe where I feel like we should have completely wiped, but we were able to recover from it. There's definitely a lot of opportunities where if you do die to something, you have plenty of time to
which is normal mode,
res
so
and recover.
Yeah.
So as long as you have one reser available, you should probably be able to recover.
Yeah, we had. I think it was this fight where our only resers were our healers, and both our healers died when we had like 20% or 15% of the boss left, and we're like, well, that's a wipe. And that's always a little sad. Like, okay, well, all right. So we've got Ascian Prime. We've got the dog. We beat the dog. We come out, and of course, now Gaia like knows she's an Ascian, so she basically leaves to she kind of goes with Mitron. I wrote her name down. Her Ascian name. It's something with an L. Logriff. Thank you. I'm like, I don't see it now. And so she's kind of gone.
I felt that this guy was kind of possessive of her. Like, I didn't like Mitron at all when we had their interactions with her.
I mean, Emmett Selk was really one of the only Ascians we liked.
And I don't know. Kind of felt like he was trying to like convince her that they were really a couple or something like that.
I think probably his being imprisoned for so long made him a bit insane. And I mean, it would be really hard for someone who you feel is your soulmate to not remember you and fight against you. And I'm sure like the combination of those two things would make you desperate and kind of
I don't know. When you're
crazy.
immortal, do you care about being trapped in something for that long?
I think it would get to anyone, even if you're immortal, being alone like that. Like and
know.
trapped. Like not just alone, but like imprisoned. Anyways, so now we gotta summon our next fight, and this is where Reen realizes I need to summon this to in order to get to Gaia to try to save her. And so the best way to do that is to have it be something based off of her fears. And so the fight actually takes us into the jail in Yulmore, which is her greatest fear. And what I thought was kind of interesting of this is that the boss was actually a combination of Thancred, Ranjit, and Vothri, more so like Innocence. Because Pete and I talked about this, and we both would have thought it was just Ranjit. Like, this would have been a good time to bring back Ranjit.
Yeah, I 100% like on stream said, oh, it's going to be Ranjit. And then I was like, oh.
It was like 80% Thancred. Ranjit, It was like a little bit of a dragon kind of around his shoulders. And then it had kind of the wings halo-esque of Innocence.
So good on them for surprising me, at least, with that one.
Yeah, but I don't understand why Thancred was such a large piece of her greatest fear.
It'd be greatest fear, like a fear of him leaving her.
He already did.
I know, but
yeah, I don't know. That was, I mean, it was cool. He was cool looking because Thancred's a hottie, but
or maybe she always thought like he was holding her back.
Yeah, Chili says maybe because he just left, so it's a fresh fear. I don't know. I feel like maybe it was a little bit of reminding us about the Gunblade, which comes into play a little bit later.
Yeah, there was like even before all of this happened,
like,
in
look
a
at the Gunblade.
cutscene, there was Chekhov's Gunblade.
Like, oh look, oh yeah, I still have it.
You're like, oh, that Gunblade's definitely going to play a part. And spoiler alert, I don't really get why.
Yeah. So this fight was called Fate Breaker. What did you think of this fight, Pete?
I thought this was a pretty good normal fight, like difficulty wise.
I'm trying to remember it right now, and none of the mechanics are really stuck.
I believe this is the one where when he does
Daddy Issues boss.
I think it's like lightning and something else. I think the fire one has a knockback when it goes off. The lightning one it expands the AoE right away, so you have to make ssure you're further out.
So by the way, as much as I had issues with E9 on my first set of runs, the 10, 11, and 12 were fine.
Yeah.
But what was interesting is the next week I did it, and I did Fate Breaker. I think might have been by myself when I did this one. But you can definitely tell sometimes some of these fights are very much based off of the group you have and being able to like kind of recover from things. Because I feel like I actually didn't do this fight as well in week 2 as I did in week 1.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So
Disco says 11 was the one he struggled with.
Totally fair. After the fight, Ascian Prime appears again in Eden's core and is super pissed off. And it's like, you dumb children. Anyway. And we hear Gaia's sort of like whispers in our head, which lets us know that she is still in there fighting against the Ascians present, which of course leads us to the next fight where the Ascians' goal is to eradicate every remaining memory Gaia has.
I was just thinking for that last fight, I thought it was a good difficulty wise, but it's kind of forgettable because I'm going through all the mechanics. I'm like, nothing was that different. Well, you just have to worry about the knockback.
This is a mechanic. Well, no, it can be difficult for people who aren't good at seeing the tether and going, okay, Shiva means this. Okay,
I'm at the previous one with Thancred.
Yeah, that one's like I said, that was the most forgettable one for me. It's not. I think it was tricky, but none of the mechanics really like to me. The Eden's Promise is where I was going.
Anytime we had to like redo that one is because of the knockback. Too many people got knocked off.
Makes sense. I was totally moving on to E12 and you're still talking about
I'm just going back because we didn't talk about it much.
Because there wasn't much I don't know. Anyways, so we're into Eden's Promise, which has a lot of Final Fantasy VIII references, Pete was saying.
Yeah, I mean, this whole story had Final Fantasy VIII references, but this one I definitely noticed because the battle system in 8 had that junction system, and the bosses junctioning Shiva and Titan in this one. So that was kind of neat. Even though I wasn't a fan of Final Fantasy VIII, out of the old ones that I've played 10, 9, and 8 now. That was easily my least favorite. So yeah, but I definitely caught on to some of the stuff they were doing. I caught on to some of the ending. I think they forced the Gunblade. And but yeah, I was catching on to some of the stuff they were throwing down. And thank you so much for those 100 bits, Chili.
You need to turn that sound effect off. It scared me.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that.
What just broke? It
was like a glitch in the Matrix.
Eden's promise. So the Eden's boss was very, very memorable looking. More so, I think, even than the fight. Like, I don't know that the mechanics felt very memorable in this fight, but more so it was like the boss has a very like icon element to it, and it has a tree. It has a tree on its head, a lot of boobs on the body area.
I don't know what those were,
which is that part was weird. I did not get the torso.
I'm like, why they got a bunch of water balloons strapped to the chest?
Yeah, like a bunch. It was weird. It had the legs, had, what was it, lions in the thighs?
The quads.
The quads. Like, it was very interesting looking boss, but it very much felt like,
well, it had people in the quads, it had lions on the arms,
like in cages and stuff. Yeah. And it did feel very much like, I am a god and I represent all of these things. Like it was very like omnipotent, like, I don't know, like,
yeah,
big all-knowing sort of. And then so behind the boss are like, it's almost kind of interesting, I thought, because the entire Eden premise has been, us summoning different fights. And so there's like windows to these different summons, and each of those summons creates a different move. And so there's Ifrit behind you and Shiva, and whenever it tethers to each of those, it's almost like it's summoning the move from them, even though it's not related to them. But it was kind of a nice tie back. The way the Eden fights have kind of played out, I thought.
It was a very cool looking boss. I don't get all the references in it. So I'm kind of interested to do more of a deep dive into that one eventually, just so I'm curious about that one. All the other ones I wasn't that curious about. This one I'm curious about.
A few people in chat were saying they were disappointed that it wasn't Ultimisia. Mm-hmm. Were you expecting it to be Ultimisia?
I had thought about it, but at the same time, I'm like, I get that this is kind of fan service to people who really enjoy the old games, but I don't know. 8 just didn't click with me. I wasn't very good at 8. By the time I got to Ultimisia, like, I was not leveled correctly, or I didn't have stuff junctioned correctly, and I had to cheat my way through it just to get to the ending cutscene. I was not connected with 8 at all, so I didn't care if the boss was not Ultimisia at all.
That's fair. I did play 8. I'm not that's not me. So, but it was interesting. I like that Pete filling me in on all the different references, and but cool, yeah. So Disco Cub said that they expected Ultimisia for 11 and Griever for 12.
I kind of like that they didn't just go straight up with that one, because I think these fights, this story does need to stand on its own.
Yep.
You can't rely. So that's why I didn't like Ivalice, because I haven't played that game. Right. I didn't give a shit about those characters, and they didn't give me any reason to give a shit about those characters.
We have to find the balance.
Gaia, I at least care about.
You have to find the balance. And when Pete was telling me that, like, the Final Fantasy VIII references were actually in the mechanics that were used in the fight, I thought that was a really clever way.
That's a cool Easter egg.
Yeah, like, that's something that, like, you'll notice if you played 8 and you really loved it, and you can really appreciate that, but people who didn't play will just be like, oh, this is a unique new mechanic. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was well done on Square Enix for implementing Easter eggs like that, where it's not just about the characters, it's not just about the music, but it's also about, like, how the game's played and how the mechanics worked. And so I hope they continue to do more of that, because it's a nice way to find that happy middle ground where everybody's kind of gets an understanding of both the games.
I'm all about Easter eggs and stuff like that, but not so much in the story. Like, this story has to be good enough to stand on its own.
Yeah.
Don't
it
rely. It
can have the Easter egg, but the Easter egg can't rely on that.
Don't rely so much on previous material.
Or Asians.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to say it.
This was like a combination of the two, but I still like this more than Ivalice.
Well, yeah, because you were invested in this. You were never invested in Ivalice. I'm the same. I also didn't care for Ivalice. I liked the gear, but that had nothing to do with the story. It's because I thought the gear was well designed.
Yeah, and to be fair, I like the fights in Ivalice. I think some of the fights in Ivalice are some of the best fights in the game. Just that story I was out on it.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to say about this fight? Oh, and then we go to different like
Did we
islands.
even talk about the fight yet?
We kind of did, like talked about how they had the signs and then or the summonings. And
Yeah. So
then we go to different islands.
I want to say I'm excited for the Savage version of this because I think they're gonna throw way more mechanics at us.
I feel like I'm gonna be really bad at it.
But
be like reliant upon Pete's call outs.
In this one,
hard.
if you either, because I know people learn differently, so you can either learn like based on the pitcher it's shooting to, or based on the color of the tether, what to do.
Oh, I didn't notice that the tether color was different.
Yeah, tether color changes based on which one is shooting to.
That's actually really good to know. Like, so those kind of details, Pete, by the way, we're doing Savage. That's the me one, is because it's hard for me to focus on the picture, but if all I have to do is look for a color, that's definitely easier for me.
But at most in normal, it's going to give you 2 mechanics to do, and it's always either in or out, and then either east-west or inner cardinal.
The junction element for me, which I've only done the fight once, where Pete was kind of trying to explain to me how the junction worked, because we talked about Final Fantasy VIII. I didn't quite understand yet when it was going to come into play, so he was like, remember now that this one is going to be like...
Well, that was the stock mechanic, so when it says stock and it shoots out the tethers.
I don't want you to explain it to me now. That's fine. But it was like, so I was doing the fight and I was like, okay, Pete said that like they held on to that one or whatever, and then it's gonna happen later, and I have to know to do sides and cardinals or whatever. And I just felt like I was like, just tell me when it happens, because I'm not seeing it. So that was, I don't know, it was interesting.
But the thing that seems to wipe the people the most in this one so far has been when they're stalking a mechanic, like when it shoots 2 tethers, and you're like, oh, I need to be in and onto the
what
west
I'm talking about,
one.
when you have to remember them for later.
Everyone goes there, and then in Junction Shiva, and everyone's stacked up at where they need to be later on.
Yep.
And then everyone gets the stack over their head from Shiva Junction, and then they all try moving at the same time and killing each other with the stacks they have.
I mean, it makes sense because it is a Final Fantasy VIII mechanic. So if you have played 8 and you know what that means when you see it, you're like, well, I got it. If you didn't, then you're like, why did they do that and then it didn't happen this time?
The implementation is totally different.
No. But like when you're learning a fight.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it being messed up when it's new. That's all I'm trying to say. Because it's, for me, I'm that person. I'm like, what? Why? So, anyways.
But I thought it was a really fun fight.
Yeah. So then after you're fighting them, then like it creates these little platforms that we jump to that are kind of like Reen and Gaia memories, and then it smashes them, and that's more like,
so you fight ads on those platforms.
The fighting them isn't anything.
Yeah. This might be a DPS check in Savage, but it's not much of a DPS check in
I do
normal.
find it interesting how like your brain immediately goes to Savage, because I don't.
It's because I'll do these for 5-6 weeks or something like that, and then I'll never do them again.
Oh, I see.
And then I'm on to Savage, and Savage is what we do. Just like Emerald Weapon, I've done normal 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest is all extreme.
I think I've done it once.
So people will ask me like a normal mechanic. I'm like, I don't really remember. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I thought this was cool. We see their memories on the platform, and the story is that we're trying to kill the ads in time to save her memories.
It is a nice way to, because the ads are attacking the memories, to incorporate the story into the fight. I thought that was well done.
And then when we beat the ads, we move on to the next platform. If you look back to where Eden's Promise is about to, like the platform you just left.
Yeah.
If you look back to it, Eden's Promise smashes that platform to destroy that memory.
It's pretty cool.
Because if you look at the timer, the count, or not timer, but how much percentage you have left to clear or whatever, it goes lower. Like you would have stopped it at like 94%. And then once they smash it, it goes down more.
Well, because basically you put all that effort into keeping those ads from killing the memory, and then it doesn't matter because Eden's Promise smashes it anyways.
Smash it.
Yeah, which was kind of, it was cool.
It's cool watching her Eden's Promise smash it. I like that.
It's well, and it also, it's like, well, what's the freaking point? You know, I don't know. I just thought it was really cool. Yeah, as Sayo just said, it gives you like Tsukiyomi vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Like the music changes, the vibe kind of changes, but then, unlike Tsukiyomi, this one goes, you saved this bit.
Yeah,
sucks
smash.
To be you. Yeah, like smash. So it was, I thought I appreciated that.
As much as I really liked and enjoyed that part the first time, if you wipe later on and you have to redo it again, it gets annoying.
It gets tedious.
And that's kind of how I felt with the Byakuya fight the first time when we had that skydiving little interlude. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And then it's like, once you're farming for the dog or whatever it was for that one, you're like, oh, I'm so tired of this shit.
We'll talk about Eden in a bit. Or not Eden, but Emerald Weapon. Sorry. Let me say Eden. All right. So after that fight, Gaia is unconscious back in the empty, I believe, next to the crystal. And we spend a long time trying to wake her, like even to the point where you say Gaia.
So this is a callback to E8, Final Fantasy VIII as well.
Oh, okay. I just was like, okay, this feels very like Beast Tribe / say Gaia. And then she's got her endless void moments. Is that a callback as well?
That's what I meant.
Oh, okay.
That's what you were on.
And so within the void, she eventually says her goodbyes to Metron and eventually finds her way home to Reen. And I kind of loved this moment because she and Reen are like reaching toward each other, and as they burst back into utopia together, there's the rainbow crystal in the background and all these like rainbow petals everywhere, and it honestly felt like the perfect ending, like to an adorable lesbian love story. Like it felt like they were acknowledging that was our intent with the relationship between these two, and I felt like it was the most sincere way to end it, because I felt like that was kind of just like so much in this game is like the fans are putting like, oh, it's a lesbian love story on it, but Square Enix never goes.
They never confirm it.
Right. It's always just kind of This was like the Square Enix way of saying
that's as much confirmation as you'll get.
Yeah. yes, it was. And it was just wonderful. And now the empty is filled with color and life and love. And I really appreciated that. I really liked that a lot.
So you did kind of skip over the part I was curious about, which was when she was walking in the empty or the void.
Wait, and Disco just said, and Thancred and Yuri J are their gay dads. Yes, yeah. I totally shipped that.
And then Reen broke Gaia out with the gunblade.
Oh, that's right.
And I was like, I don't understand how the gunblade did that.
I think that's why I kind of like just offset
like
it.
I know the gunblade has magic into it. And
Crumpet, I said the crystal.
Huh?
I'm talking to chat, sorry.
And Reen like imbues the bullets or whatever with the magic bursts or whatever. I don't understand how it did it, but I said, Chekhov's gunblade, they introduced it in Act 1 because it was going to come back in Act 3 and be used.
Chili says that the scene was basically a 1-to-1 remake of the Final Fantasy VIII ending.
Yeah, I just don't understand how it worked.
Got it. Yeah, that's what Pete said. He did say that to me, and I think because her using the gunblade and that being a Final Fantasy ending, that's again a fan service right there. It didn't actually lend anything to the story, which is for someone like me who's coming at it for just story. I like kind of wiped all that bit out because that part didn't actually make sense.
Yeah, Chili said it worked because they wanted reference.
Yeah, like that's it. But without it still worked. So that's a fine fan service for me because I whatevered it. But yeah, I just really thought it was sweet how it ended. And like, I haven't checked, but like that's kind of a zone I wouldn't mind going back into for screenshots because it was very pretty.
Yeah, it was. I like the ending a lot. I really like the relationship between Gaia and Reen. Yeah, kind of throughout the story was Reen alluding to a festival that she was putting on. And I would like to see part of that festival. I don't know if we ever will.
If you just saw my face, my sippy cup lid totally just saved my keyboard. I totally almost spilled on my brand new keyboard. Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
I'm special.
But yeah, and I don't know what's in store for Gaia later on, if we'll ever revisit her or not.
I hope we see more of her, but I don't know, because if we see more of Reen, we should see more of Gaia, because they now are like a duo.
I just worry that we don't revisit old characters very often.
Right.
And
if we do, we go, hi, I'm Lise. Yeah. I'm from Alamigo.
And I'm going to say, I've complained a lot about us not going back to old areas and revisiting stuff like that. MSQ did give me a little bit of that, but we'll talk about more of this next episode. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed that. Just didn't quite feel like the MSQ to me.
I'm not done with it yet, so.
But let's move on. So thumbs up, thumbs down on that. You liked it, you enjoyed it. In the middle.
What part?
Just let's say Eden in general, from E1 to E12. The story overall.
Yeah, I didn't like that it was Asians.
Yeah.
Like I was really, really curious what.
Especially since like maybe smarter people than me who are really into the story and everything knew it was going to be Asians this whole time. I didn't.
I kind of I did think that. Honestly, because like who else has darkness like that with her weapon appearing and like the clouds? Yeah, it's been kind of obvious.
I guess at the very beginning, I did sort of think
when she summons
Gaia
her
was.
weapon, it looks like the Asian stuff. Like she's had like in the darkness and stuff. But I was just like really hoping they weren't going to go that route.
Yeah, I guess at the very beginning, I did suspect Gaia of being Asian just because of her aesthetic. And then after the first two sections, I was like, oh, maybe not.
I think it was just wishful thinking.
And yeah,
I think it was wishful thinking. Yeah, the story felt meh with from 9 to 12. I liked the ending, but I don't know. I was hoping it was going to be something different. And then Chili referring to my reference to Lise just now was actually really funny because it was just short. It's like a baby Stormblood. We're like, oh, we're going to go to Alamigo with Lise. Oh, nope, we're going somewhere else. Pretty much. So not speaking of Lise, we're going to move on to Emerald Weapon.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a rinse and repeat element to this story, and spoiler alert for Emerald Weapon. One of Gaius's orphan kids pilots Emerald Weapon.
What?
And uses the Oversoul, which kills the pilot.
What?
Who would have guessed?
Oh my god, no. Spoilers. I haven't done it yet. I didn't know that was going to happen.
It's so crazy. You haven't done it yet, but you beat Extreme. The big twist.
That happens every time. So if anybody's mad for him saying that has happened in every single one. So please don't be mad. Like my whole Y'shtola joke the one time because she's never going to die.
You got canceled for that.
I know.
The big twist to this story is that we learn that the kids supposedly aren't really fighting for the Empire. They want the weapons program to succeed so they can use them against the Empire.
Seems like quite wishful thinking that we'll probably succeed in some offshoot random way, but okay, guys.
To me, I wasn't really buying this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Because I feel like if you get that weapons program to succeed, like, not going to be totally dependent on the pilots and they can do this with other people.
That was kind of like, as someone who was in the military, you know, like the pilot's not the one who manages the system. Like the pilot doesn't have control of where the system goes and what direction they use the system, and to like assume that you do, like,
yeah, they haven't really set it up like that these orphans are like super beings or anything like that are like any more exceptional than anyone else.
Right.
So why would they be the special ones that are able to control these things or anything like that?
They did kind of set up one of the younger girl, the one that they like kind of separated because she still maintained her innocence.
Is that Allie?
I think so. I'm bad with names, but like the Lord Valen. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't remember how to say it, but he seemed very upset. I'm jumping a bit, but he seemed very upset that she was gone. So I think
that was a big twist, and I feel like it's kind of just like Square Enix likes to give everyone redemption. Like they couldn't just have these people be bad people that were part of this project and against Gaius. And I still feel like Gaius is ultimately going to give the ultimate sacrifice. Like Gaius has to die.
Yeah. Gaius, I think, is the character they're setting up to die.
I think they're
setting him up for us to like him, to think he's kind of cool, you know.
But it's going to be his choice. It's not going to be because of that not evil, but it's not going to be because of that elf dude.
No, it's going to be a sacrifice.
Yeah, it's not going to be that elf dude is not going to decide to kill him.
Whenever they set someone up for a death like this, it's always a self-sacrifice. That's like the method. That's what they do.
What if that elf dude was just like, I don't trust him.
And no, he's always in the shadows, like
fucking right in.
Remember, bitch, I can kill you.
Artery.
Our agreement. You're still a piece of shit, and I can still kill you if you don't prove you're not. I don't know.
He's like, yeah, I just don't trust your ass.
I don't trust you. I'm gonna kill you because I can.
So
I haven't felt personally like a lot of people have really loved these stories. For me, it's been recycle and repeat each time.
I started out really enjoying this story. And then it died out a little bit with me with Sapphire Weapon because it wasn't a full trial and it wasn't as engaging as like that first part of the relic weapon we had.
See, I was like, okay, with the first one, this storyline for me.
I liked it because I liked the personal relationship between Gaius and his kids.
I agree. So that's what I was trying to say, Pete, is that piece, the fact that he saved those orphans, and that's the only part of the story I like. Yeah. And so now, like, that's literally what's carrying this story for me. Like, I didn't even care about the story with Sapphire. I felt like I honestly could have just clicked through it all. I was like, okay, we're gonna fight the guy. He's gonna kill himself. They're gonna be sad. We're gonna move on. Like, it didn't feel like it mattered.
Well, Crumpet, I'm not like totally mad that it wasn't its own trial. I think the single player trial was not up to par with what they had just given us with the first part of the Bozja relic weapon. That cutscene with Sid going through the memories, having the fight, and like kind of seeing like that demolition of I forget the name of the project, but that project at the very beginning, it wasn't up to par with that.
Oh, so you were comparing it?
Yeah, definitely was. It did not live up to what we had just gotten the patch before. But yes, Lord Valen, you mentioned. He has hair like Lord Farquaad from Shrek. Thought he kind of looked like he had a face like Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay.
So if you combine Lord Farquaad and Joaquin Phoenix, we got the live action movie. Spoiler alert, he's a psychopath that likes inflicting pain on people, even his own people.
And he has a daddy complex who likes to make little boys do it to please him.
Yeah, he's not very compelling. Mm-mm. He was just very jealous of Gaius.
He is not a villain I'm really interested in.
And it seems like they're kind of just leaning in so much to them being psycho. I feel like when they introduced Kefka, everyone was so obsessed with Kefka. And like, because they remember Kefka from the old game, which I don't even get, but I thought Kefka was kind of cool. Yeah, it's not doing it for me.
As soon as they did like the crazy anime, like psychotic eye face expression thing, I was like, again? Like, you guys are now doing this with every single villain. It's feeling like every single villain is getting that, like, my crazy Joker psychotic eyes. Like,
and so we find out that Xenos is the next person to be like the oversoul for Diamond Weapon. And we see some testing on a subject that volunteers on the condition that his family is taken care of. And then, of course, once he dies, Valen's like, now we're going to test on your wife.
So now my words mean nothing. I'm the Joker.
That
part was sad. That part was sad about the family, but that you weren't sad. That wasn't like good storytelling that made you sad. That was just a shitty situation for a family that made you sad. Like that, there's a difference in my opinion. It was just,
it's like you can always put sad stuff into a story and it'll be like, oh, that was a sad part.
That's fucked up. You shouldn't do that to people. But it wasn't like well executed, like from a storytelling perspective.
Crumpet says, I genuinely think we're going to find out that he's related to Gaius, which would explain why he wants the recognition from Gaius while the whole time punishing the kids he took in and cares for. That's a viable theory. I don't know if I think that as well.
I mean, it'd be kind of interesting if he was like a bastard brother or something. Sorry if that's a bad explanation, but like he's somehow related. He's like not a full brother to him, but he like compares himself to him, so he's trying to kind of like prove that he's as good as him, which is why he's doing the daddy thing and forcing the adoption on those kids.
Yeah,
there is a weird idolization of Gaius for him.
Yeah, there definitely is, but I don't think he needs to be related to feel that.
But I can see him being like a half brother or something. Like, I can see that where, like, the mother or the father, whoever was the person, but I don't know if we're going to get that much backstory on Lord Valen. I don't expect it, really, but I could see there being something that
I think he's just a jealous fuck.
That. If he's a half-brother, it's going to be funny. I mean, I don't know. That's just based on other stories I've seen that have a character that have that kind of dynamic. They tend to be like a half-brother sort of thing. Oh, because the 14th Legion is 14... which is half of 14, which is 7, and the 7th Legion was run by Valen. Look at you with the math. I love it. All right, so we go through the story.
For me, the compelling part of this story to me was just the effect of war on people. I love stuff like that. Square Enix touches on it every once in a while. They touched on it in Alamigo. But it's just like you have people that join the Empire forces, but because they were not purebloods, they weren't accepted into the Empire,
so
the army.
You like the human element.
I like the human element of it.
I agree.
I like they were subject to beatings when they went in there. And then if they tried to desert the Empire and went back to their people, they were never fully accepted back by their people.
But that almost felt like side quest.
It is, and I like
the side quest to it all was better than like, and Chili is saying that like it's all Final Fantasy references with the legions and everything.
Yeah.
Which I know all the weapons are the legion references. Like, but to me the story isn't. That's just the fight. Like whatever the fight is, it's like having a character from another Final Fantasy game, and that's the reference. The story related to that is not as good as like the people who are suffering from the war associated with it. And
I kind of feel like that on a lot of things. Maybe it's just my personality or something like that. Even with Star Wars, like the latest trilogy, I thought it was okay, but I really enjoyed Rogue One. Like I thought Rogue One was a better story, and that wasn't like the main people of Star Wars. That was just like a one-off thing.
Yeah, Rogue One was, no, I think a lot of people really loved Rogue One. I don't think that's a unique thing, Pete.
Well, I think they liked it because of the movie, but for me, it was more human. I don't know.
I don't really have
personal
much of an opinion on that, so I can't really discuss that with you.
But let's talk about this fight now that we get to normal mode. Like I said, I've done it twice. I don't really remember that much.
Wait, when we're doing extreme for our second, so we did extreme blind on, I think it was a Thursday, and then the next week we were doing it on Tuesday, and I was like, okay, now that there are the guides out there, I'm gonna watch the extreme guide beforehand. I accidentally was watching a guide for the normal fight, and I was like, this seems way easy, and like I don't think I would have had as much trouble. We would have as much troubles, and then I was like, oh no, this is normal. Let me find the right guide. I felt like such a dummy.
Okay, normal mode. You're gonna be able to just join Duty Finder.
I enjoyed this
most
fight.
of the time. Be able to pass it, no problem at all. First phase, only real difficult thing is the orbs. Make sure you pop all the orbs. Second phase is
in the right order.
You have the swords coming down, which are going to
second phase, they put baby in a corner. So if you're a dancer who wants to get your dance off before the fight begins, you got to run to a corner.
No one's waiting for the fight to begin in normal.
No,
they just go in.
I already jumped to extreme because normal is just easy. I have to go to the corner and do my dance. Otherwise, I pull the boss. So if any of you dancers out there haven't started extreme yet, just know that you need to go to a corner and then run back.
So yeah, in normal mode, you have swords that come down and you get a blue line AoE. You basically just have to know that the AoE explodes from the blue line out.
I don't really want to give them like how to do mechanics on a podcast. That feels weird. Normal is not hard. You guys got it. It's fun. Have fun with it.
And then the extreme fight is actually pretty close to normal. They just shove a couple more things into it.
They stack more things and make it a little harder to adjust.
Crumpet says the extreme was so much easier than Ruby. I don't know. I thought Ruby weapon was pretty easy.
And Crumpet also said they never had that issue with your dancer. I was up against the flat wall doing my dance. Maybe I'm just, because I'm a bunny, my dance is wider. I don't really know. I'm a bigger character.
I guess
but I pulled the boss a couple times.
Ruby, I just saw those mechanics and I got them, and I think more people got them pretty easily. With this one, at least in the group that we had, I feel like we took a little bit longer than normal to understand the blue AoE exploding mechanic and where to stand from the third sword that dropped down.
The swords were the tricky bit for us.
Run to the first sword.
Well, no, so our first night we attempted it was blind, and we got to the second phase, and what got us stuck on the second phase mostly was where you have the combination of the ships and then the dudes running across all at the same time. And we were tired by the time we got there. And then the second time we attempted it, our normal healer was out, so we had a new healer. And then the third night, which each of these nights is about 2 hours, the third night we beat it 5 times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. I think you guys should try it, especially if you can get a group together. The hardest part is probably understanding how those swords drop.
And in Extreme, if you can find a group that can do the orbs right in the first phase, you probably beat the second phase too. And I mean, the first time we went in, that definitely held us back for a while. The orbs in the first phase.
Yeah. If you watch a video, though, I don't think the orbs are as hard. They were hard for us because we were going in blind and we didn't see the pattern for it. really. So anyways.
But I think it's a fun fight overall.
Yeah.
The annoying part is the long cutscene, but I guess it's not that annoying.
That's what was funny.
If you have to go to the bathroom, that's the perfect time.
No, so that was funny is that the first time we actually got through the first phase, somebody was like, all right, and now we're going to wait 5 minutes until we get to the second phase. And another raider and I both had to go to the bathroom really bad. So we both ran to the bathroom and then we didn't know it was like they were joking. It's like a 45-second transition. I mean, if you can go to the bathroom really fast and hopefully wash your hands.
Yeah, choose. Wipe your hands or wipe.
Yeah.
Wash your hands or wipe.
Basically. But it was just funny because we came back and we're like, oh, everybody's dead. I'm sorry.
All right. Really quickly, let's touch on Titan Unreal. This is the other piece of battle content we did on the patch. We actually did this we did this patch night. First thing we did in-game.
Because people hadn't unlocked. You didn't have to unlock anything to do
because
this.
we knew not everyone in our group could unlock Ruby Weapon or all the raids to do together. So we didn't clear this. We got to ads a few times in Titan Unreal. So it's legit challenging. It definitely reminds you of doing Titan right at the very beginning.
I actually really, really, really enjoy Titan Unreal because I always liked Titan. What I actually find kind of sad is that the rewards are not worth it. Like you need
I understand that part because we've already done this fight before.
Yeah, well, but I think doing Titan Unreal with a pug would be a lot of work. I think it'd be very difficult to do with a pug. So people who are willing to do this with a pug, more power to you.
I think it will be very puggable. Just people have to get back into the rhythm of knowing these mechanics again.
Maybe we just haven't done it enough. But my point is, like, pretty much no one in our raid group cares about beating Titan Unreal. Like, no one really cares about beating it. And I really enjoy the fight, but there's, like, no group incentive for us together to do this.
I think we all want to do it. Because I think we all want those faux leaves to get that, whatever that mount is. I don't even remember.
So Chili just says he wants to beat it. I know Paul doesn't care about this kind of stuff. So I feel like maybe this is just our raid group thing. We need to have a conversation about it.
I want to beat it, but I don't want to beat it before. I didn't want to beat it before Emerald. Like, if we would have done it that first night, great. But I don't.
We haven't tried since.
Yeah, but I'm not going to prioritize this over Extreme Emerald because we get a weapon from that. I'm not going to prioritize it before Savage because we get gear from that. But the problem is
if you don't prioritize it before Savage. Let me finish. This is only released for a certain period of time. So if you don't prioritize this, you'll never beat it.
But you
have to do both.
But you have a whole patch to do it.
But it doesn't matter. You have to do both, like we did with Shiva. And then even with Shiva, we got to the point where the rewards were not worth it.
Because we were trying.
Because the rewards were not worth it compared to the other content. Of course,
but that's always going to be something. If you make the rewards better than Savage, then you say Savage isn't worth it because the rewards aren't good enough.
I think the only difference would literally be if you actually got the mount from the fight versus getting 5 little points potentially.
I'm fine with the rewards for this personally. It's a fight we've done before. They've just upped the HP basically.
I don't know. I'm just sad that this is like. I feel like Titan is only. Oh, Chili did say they buffed the rewards.
Yeah, you get more leaves.
But I feel like. I feel like I'm not gonna pug it because I don't like pugging this.
But
Let me finish.
No,
God, I'm not gonna pug this because I don't want to deal with other people learning the fight. That's not my thing. This is something I would want to do with the raid group. I liked how with Shiva we kind of had a thing where at first we were beating it if we had time or playing it if we had time and like fitting it in, and that's how. Even though some people really complained and really didn't like that, we were doing that. That's what I would like to do with Titan, but I feel like that's not going to happen because we did not beat Titan as quickly as we beat Shiva. Yeah. And so it'll never happen, and that makes me sad.
Well, I think we're going to beat Savage a lot quicker this tier because we actually have a set group instead of refilling every time.
It's all an unknown.
And then we'll go back to Titan afterwards and do it.
It's an unknown.
It's an unknown, but you can't make the rewards for this better than Savage.
I'm not saying that. It's just, I'm not saying they need to be as good as Savage. I'm saying they're not good enough for like raid groups to do them if you like, unless you're like your raid group is playing 4 days a week or something.
I understand, but to me it's like I'm not that interested because it is a fight I've already done. It's just on a harder level.
And I don't feel like it that way. I feel like it's a fight I really enjoy beating, and I would like to get the mount, and it is something I would like to have, because having better gear from the Savage fights is something that's only good for a certain period of time. Getting the mounts or the stuff from this is something that I'll have forever.
Well, now's your incentive. We gotta beat Savage quickly, and then we can just dedicate all our time to running Titan Unreal.
It doesn't matter if I have incentive to beat Savage quicker. It's literally just doing it.
I think we'll do it quicker. I think we will. I've got a lot of...
Sorry to get all argumentative with you guys.
Got a lot of pride in our raid group now. But yeah, I had a little thing on collectibles. I think we'll save that for next week. I think we've gone quite long this episode. So a little bit of community roundup, which now... fuck. Now I don't really have one for this community roundup because it was supposed to be on a Friday.
Oh.
And I was going to plug us being on Moogle Go Round Radio.
But Pete, you're literally only missing the live version of it. So you can still download the podcast.
You are only missing the live version. But now you need to go make sure you are subscribed on the podcatcher of your choice to Moogle Go Round Radio. And we joined Moogle Go Round Radio along with Maelstrom Radio's Peter and Shinter. And yeah, it was a really good time. We're just kind of relaxing, talking about games that we played in 2020, what we enjoyed in 2020. Just kind of shooting the shit around a little bit.
Which is pretty much how it always is.
Yeah, it was not a... whatchamacallit.
I bought 2 games while we were chatting because some really good sales, and I'd never downloaded Epic Gaming before, the gaming system.
You never played Fortnite?
Nope, I've never played Fortnite. Not my type of game. So yeah, Bug Snacks and Hades. So I'm
talk about Bug Snacks.
Excited to give them a try.
So yeah, it was a really good time. Thank you to Chili and Paul for inviting us on there. Make sure you go follow them. Twitch.tv/Moogle Go Round Radio. Make sure you're subscribed so you can get all their podcasts as well. And yeah, I had a blast. We look forward to it every year. I hope they keep inviting us over.
I was trying to do the shout out on Twitch for them with my very, very loud mechanical keyboard, which was not easy to do quietly.
So that was a lot of fun. Make sure you get that podcast when it comes out. Moving on to a little bit of listener reaction, we have Micro Break Podcast saying, listening to the now bi-weekly podcast of She Heals, I Tank. I always look forward to their weekly podcast, but since it's now bi-weekly, I look forward to it twice as much.
Aw, I really appreciate how supportive everybody has been about us moving to every other week, because it was like there was a lot of conversation that happened before we decided to do that.
It's worth the wait, I promise you all. If you love Final Fantasy XIV, subscribe.
It has been really, I mean, I know we just got some patch content, but it was also really nice to like not be rushing to figure out what we're going to talk about. You know, it'd be like we had time to think about it, time to kind of like, there's other things we could have talked about even now, like with, it's kind of how it feels.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of miscommunication, and like in my mind I thought we were going to talk about MSQ, and then you talked me out of it, and like 90% of my time went into typing up notes about the MSQ.
Sorry, it's too, I haven't even finished it yet. I haven't even finished it yet. I know about, I haven't, other people haven't. You can't do that yet. It's too soon.
And then we have Vero at Succubun says, oh, they posted a picture of their top podcast of the year, and it was us, baby.
That is so sweet.
Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
I also really appreciate people sharing that, like, after we're like, hey, we're going to record half as often, and they're like, we still love you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Father Fenway tweeted, at Mioni YouTube, at Moogle Go Round, at She Heals I Take, at The Zandri, and at Work to Game. Y'all help make this community and this game so much fun. Thank you for all the passion and dedication you put forth. Bless you all, and Merry Patchmas 5.4. Thank you so much, Father Fenway. I love seeing you in chat. You were such a sweetheart. And honestly, like, I love all those content creators as well. So I love that we are like grouped with them, because they are. I liked being
in that company.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite company as well.
And then in response to what I had asked people what they were doing in preparation to patch 5.4, N7 Clutch said, capped all tomes and managed to finally get my last DPS to 80.
Nice.
Congrats on that.
I'm starting to wonder if I want to just like try to run a leveling roulette every day on like a job that's not 80. And that's like the only effort I'm going to put into getting them all to 80.
You will do it before the next expansion.
Yeah, like that's what I want to do. It's just like, I might log in and be like, hey guys, who wants to run a leveling roulette? Okay, bye. That's all I'm going to do.
Reisna said, I got to rank 14 in Bozja and capped as many Phantasmagoria and Allegoria on my main tune and 2 alts.
Is it Phasmagoria or Phantasmagoria?
Phantasmagoria.
Mm.
The Zero Yuno said, LOL, not going to do Eden since I just unlocked Eden Ramu a few days ago, so I got to work on that. So I'm going to be grinding Bozja / the new dungeon for gears. Until then, just hype for the MSQ.
Nice. Well, then you should do some Eden.
I'm really curious for the people, and this will be more next episode, the people that usually really enjoy the MSQ, what they thought of this one.
I haven't finished it yet.
Because to me, it didn't really feel like typical Final Fantasy XIV MSQ. So I'm really interested to see what they have to say.
I'll get back to you on that because I'm one of those people.
Yep.
All right. So that is going to be it for this episode. As always, we've enjoyed hanging out with you live here on Twitch this Sunday morning or afternoon or whatever time it is for you.
Did you like it more, Avi? Do you want to switch to Sundays?
I don't know. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. We'll have to see how our internet is doing on Friday nights. I wonder if that's like a usage thing in our neighborhood. So it might, we'll see. Be sure to hit that follow button so you'll know the next time we'll be going live. And of course, a great big thank you to everyone listening to the podcast through iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, YouTube, and whatever app comes out tomorrow that I'll forget about. You really are the reason we keep making episodes. And remember, wherever you do listen, it would mean a whole shit ton to us if you gave our little shit podcast a rating or review. Or more importantly, tell a friend to check us out. Here with Vegan Pete, I am Avi Ale, and we will talk to you the week after next. Goodbye.
Goodbye.